Everyone, I'm Mark de Grasse, and this is Podcast Mark, where we talk about personal development, professional development, and business development in that order, trying to find the intersection of all three and sprinkling in quite a bit of philosophy and life lessons along the way. Today, I have Sam Carlson. He's here to talk about the evolution of the marketing world, kind of where advertising is going, and how he's helping younger people to actually, kind of find the profession and hopefully do a good job with it, because it's very misunderstood, is my experience. So welcome, Sam.
Thanks, Mark. I'm excited to be here, excited to talk to you. And I think you're absolutely right. I think a lot of people, young people specifically, get started on the wrong foot. And if we don't get them off that foot quick enough, they can just waste a lot of time and potentially even hurt a lot of people too.
Yeah,
And
you know what?
we
I'm
don't
glad you
want
said
that.
that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the effect that I've kind of seen. I think the more I've kind of matured and done even more marketing than I had in the past, the more I realize it's like, man, the potential for corruption in marketing to trick people or to be less truthful than you should is very easy or tempting, let's say.
Yeah.
So how do you kind of, how do you inform people of what marketing really is?
Oh my gosh. I don't think there's a way. I think, and let me just give a little bit of color here in terms of my community and what I currently do. So my background is serial entrepreneurship. I've been an entrepreneur, so I'm 44 and I haven't had a job since I was in college, which I think I was 22 or 21, something like that, when I had my last W-2. And so I love entrepreneurship, and I've really gravitated towards everything marketing, everything advertising. And when I am in discussions and when we're doing podcasts like this or whatever it is, the conversations and the things that really motivate me, that really excite me, are the ones that just based on core fundamental principles, right? And the analogy today, so we come to today and we have processed foods, we have processed media, meaning our news is no longer big segments where people really get to uncover an idea. It's like these little tidbits, this little bit of information, and it's designed to hook people and to do different things. And the same with our food. Our food is no longer whole food. It's no longer meat and vegetables and these whole foods that nourished our bodies for so long. And when I look at the people that I help inside my community, I'll talk about that here in a second, but when I look at the people who come inside my community and they're really needing the help and how I do it, it's people that have been in that environment. They have been eating processed information. Okay. They've been, and that's all they've seen. They haven't seen the whole foods. They've only seen the center aisles. And it's coming at them from ads. It's coming at them from webinars. It's coming at them from sales. It's coming at them from every angle. So it's the only thing that they know. And I don't know the best way to solve that other than formats like we're doing here and what we do at UpEx to help our community, which is daily classes, free courses, and a community that values real value above all. Meaning, if you come in and you post anything spammy, I'm in there. I'm like a hawk. I will delete and block and get you out of there faster than anybody else. Right? It's a community of about 8,000 people now, and I'm deleting people every single day because I know how important it is to just have a safe place where you can get real answers. So I don't know that there's one thing, right? But I think that it's two things, really. You gotta identify the world that we're in, and then do your best to stand principled and help people with what's real, right? With what you really need to do to win in this game, because you can win really, really big in this game. You can, but you got to do it right. You got to follow the steps. You got to be honest. You got to have ethics. You got to have all the stuff, right? So
Oh man, I love that. Well, I love the comparison between, kind of modern marketing and processed foods, which is two major issues. I think we talked about before we got on the show, like the food was actually my major problem that, and fixing that actually turned my whole life around. It didn't have to do with like fatty foods either. It has to do with I'm allergic to like 100 foods and didn't know about it. But
yeah,
there's tons of people out there, which you'll never find that information out if you are doing processed food, just like, with marketing, you don't know any better if you have never seen good marketing, which is, kind of why I always tell people, we're going back to like old style marketing where brand mattered, where
yeah,
authority mattered, where there was a relationship between the customer and the vendor, and that relationship was pretty sacred. Like the vendor
yeah.
never let the customer down if there was any way. And I don't know how many people I talk to now are just kind of like, oh, customer service first, or the customer's always right. Like that's so stupid. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's kind of
Not.
the only point of why we're around. And they're the ones paying your bills and paying and growing your company. And I think it's been really easy to kind of dehumanize your customer base and say, hey, no, it's just about me scaling, and it's about me growing, and it's about me, blah, blah, blah. It's all me, me, me. And I think we're getting away from it. Are you seeing the same thing?
Yeah, it's funny because even some of the words that we hear, like the word scaling, you use the word scaling,
Mm.
and that's because it's nomenclature for people who, again, they care more about the marketing than they do the business. And but I think the bright side. So here's what I think. I think in everything we do, I think there's a pendulum swinging. Okay, and so we're swinging over to this area that we've been talking about where marketing and advertising has been, again, scammy, spammy, whatever you want to say. That's kind of been the initial approach. But now that is becoming recognized by the
Mm.
audience for what it is. And so it's starting to not pay like it used to.
Mm.
And because of that, there's two camps. There's the camps of, oh, this just doesn't work anymore. Like I love it when somebody says webinars are dead, right? When they say web, it's
Just
like, you have no
holistically, yeah.
idea what you're saying, right? When they say they declare something dead, it's like, well, that's just because you're not doing it right.
For
So
me,
there's,
that's what they mean.
yeah, that's right. There's the camp of, this just doesn't work anymore. And then there's the camp of, let me understand the audience and the people and what they need, and I'm going to serve those things. And building on top of that, it is sacrificing what you want most for what you want, like right now, or sacrificing what you want now for what you want most.
Mm.
Sorry. And that means, okay, I don't get quick money. I don't get quick anything. I have to build that brand. I have to build that story. I have to prove that story. I have to provide credibility and value to the audience, all of which are not fast things. They're deliberate, consistent things. And that's hard for people. Deliberate and consistent. Those are hard for people today.
It is. Well, and I think it's not 100% not educators' fault because there's so many, e-learning platforms and people out there that are just like, this is it. This is the framework. All you need to do is
Yeah.
this, and it's gonna make you a bazillion dollars, and then I'll give you a plaque and blah 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 blah. And I'm kind of like, no, it's about the individual business. And I was in fitness for a long time, so I always compared marketing to fitness, and there's a lot of similarities between the two, where you have progression's a part of it, performance testing is a part of it, consistency is a major part of it, and nothing, it's actually a really good comparison to how marketing has been, which is 30-day biceps. Like, do this exercise and you'll get biceps and a six pack in 30 days. And that's the equivalent of what a lot of marketers have been selling, where it's just like, I don't care about what your business is. I don't care about your goals. I don't care about your customer. Just
Yeah.
do the thing and you're going to win. And if you don't, who cares? There's a lot more of you out there. Like, I'll
Yeah.
just go find some more. And like with you training kind of younger marketers, I love that it's just about the longevity, the long approach, the skill building, the serving, and then all the stuff happens by itself, and you'll create your own custom system. And frameworks are good because it gets people on the path, but it's really just a path to understanding. If you systematically approach all these segments of marketing, then you'll win.
Yeah.
But it's a hard sell. So how do you get around the people who are like, but I need to make $50,000 next month?
Yeah, we be honest with them. We say that's not going to happen. And if you want that, then go somewhere else.
Mm.
Right. Customer segmentation is actually one of the keys to business. Like you pick the right customers and you pick a good business. Um, and I think that's most businesses make the mistake of taking anybody who will fog a mirror. Right. And that leads to all sorts of problems. And there are all sorts of problems that people complain about that they can't put a finger on. They're like, listen, we have high customer churn. Listen, we get a lot of refunds. We get a lot of whatever. And if you feel like you're delivering a good product, but you're still getting that, it's not necessarily, it may not be, I should say, it may not be because you have a bad product or service. It may just be because you have a bad customer selection.
Ooh.
Right. And that is the reality, more times than not. And I'll give you an example. So my company Upex is a software company, and about 9, 10 months ago, we were looking at our churn numbers, and we have 3 different price points. And I was looking at 3 different price points, and they're based on the amount. So we base our price points not on the amount of features the user gets, but on how many customers they have. Okay. And so I want everybody to have the same set of tools so they can all win together and thus get more customers. And so we were looking at it, and it was like, okay, well, the $97 tier has a churn that is not good. I do not like this churn. Though the 297 and the 497, it's solid. Like they're looking really good. Like that, I mean, beyond like just really good, like solid, healthy churn numbers. And so I had 2 things to look at when I was doing that $97 price point. It was either customer selection or a long-term strategy on how to take existing people in that pool and help them in some way. Okay. Now, coming into doing UpX, I had always said, I am not going to do a course. I'm not going to do a course. I didn't want to. There's so many quote Facebook courses out there. If you want to get if you want to dip your toes in the Facebook marketing world, there's plenty of options out there. And UpX is a software that automates all the ads anyway. So I didn't want to teach it. And as we started going back, I'm like, okay, I think Jake and Bradley, was my partners, I think we actually have a 2-prong approach here. I think I got to create a course.
Hey, that's humility.
I think I got to create a course. And so it's going to be a slog. But I also think at the same time, we need to be the people, be the group that changes what the expectations are in the agency space. And so right around the same time, I created a course. It's called Lead Gen U. Okay. And we started doing daily classes. And the daily classes, we didn't do them before. It was, we had like 1 class that we would do a week. But I said, if we just build a community and places to where people can learn the real stuff, like have real professionals in there, myself, my 2 partners, our director of operations, like have real people doing this, then at least at some small level, and over time, we could start a daisy chain of helping people, but maybe just helping them learn, helping them get some skills. Right. And so in a way, we changed our advertising to segment customers better. So to focus our advertising more at that upper level on people who already had some skills. And then at the lower level on just learning opportunities. Right. And so we didn't necessarily, I think a lot of times people just scrap an audience, and that may be the right thing to do. I don't know. But we chose to go a different route. We chose to say, okay, well, that audience is there. There is the demand. They want our product. But it's not going to be acceptable collectively as a company to continue to see our churn numbers at that price point be what they are. So what are we going to do? It's a long-term plan, right? And so I will say we were just looking in terms of resolving the story. We were just looking at our churn numbers at that lower price tier, the $97 price tier. And we've cut it in half.
Wow.
We've cut it in half. And and we've done nothing really. The marketing has changed a little bit, but the amount of people that are coming in at that price point are the same.
Hmm.
So we're still getting the same amount of people there, but the retention is much better. So the only thing I can say is we've made a very deliberate effort to provide good education to people. And I do think it pays dividends, but not in the short term. So it's a long term. It's a long-term vision for sure.
Well, I love that because I think the long-term approach to anything has really been kind of pushed off to the side for so long. I actually built my original company that I sold to Onnit here in Austin, which is why I'm in Texas, for content. Like it was a 100% content play. I had an e-commerce platform, but it was grown 100% organically. And so I would just tell people, I'm like, hey, content's the way to go. Like, yes, it takes a long time. It could take 2-3 years to develop like a good base of content, and then all the stuff that you're talking about, which is the community building and the nurturing and the research into what actually works. But it's the only thing that's going to work, because I think, I know you have an ad platform, and you could probably give me better stats on this, but advertising is getting more expensive. And I think the combination of advertising increasing plus the threat of possibly SEO isn't going to work like it used to. And we've all, I've seen really big companies and they're having crazy dips. Like, algorithm changes are just coming randomly. Like, you might lose 20% of traffic that you have consistently gone for years, and then all of a sudden one day, boom, 20% dip. And so my theory is that because of AI and because of generative nature of how it's built, companies like Google could just start doing generative content for you, lead you down a seemingly organic path to a commercial solution, and you wouldn't know any better. Plus, you'd probably be happy because they could deliver content based on your search history, your Gmail history, your Google Drive documents. I mean, they have more data than anybody. And so are they going to keep doing organic charity work for businesses, or are they going to just say, hey, we got this. We have all your content from the last 20 years because you didn't license it, so we're good. You could go away now. But that's my perspective. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'd love to hear your take.
Well, it's interesting because I have I'm an owner in another company that has incredible SEO, and it's in the education space.
Mm.
And when AI came out, it was really starting to hit the road, and we started seeing articles just like you mentioned, where could this be the end or the detriment of SEO? And it was top of mind. We were concerned about it, like, oh, well, what's this going to do to traffic? And I have heard stories about it doing, like you mentioned, it dipping on other platforms and other websites, things along those lines. But the one thing that I think, because we haven't seen anything, in fact, we've seen traffic increase. The one thing that I have, and this is a hypothesis right now because I can't see the future. Maybe it will dip, but I do feel like there is a difference between a website that has technical SEO and decent content, and then a website that has technical SEO, authoritative content, and an attractive character / relationship brand with the reader that goes beyond, oh, I read an article from, what was that website? No, I read an article on this page every single day, right? Why do people go to whatever the website is? Do they go there because they found you on search? Do they come back because you gave them a feeling other than information, right? And information is good, but there's something beyond that. And so whether it's community, whether it's brand, whether it's whatever, brand, I heard the phrase once and I really like that. And since you're a brand guy, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. But back in the day, branding used to be what companies would tell the customer that they were, right? Today, branding is what customers tell each other the company is, right?
So true.
And so it's like, well, what have you taken? Again, we'll go back to the good hygiene, the whole foods. Have you taken a long-term approach to your customer?
We have an amazing limited time offer that you won't want to miss. Introducing the Build Your Brand Pillars course from AI Branding Academy, your gateway to mastering both traditional branding and AI-powered marketing strategies. With this course, you'll gain invaluable skills in creating strong brand foundations that stand out in today's competitive market. Perfect for innovation leaders like you. Don't wait. Take advantage of this special offer before it's gone. Head to aibranding.academy.
When they come, are you writing, are you delivering information? Is the value on that website, is it so awesome and so specific that people are like, I don't need to search, I'm going back to that website, right? I'm going back there all the time. I mean, you go to websites all the time for stuff.
Oh yeah, that's
right?
a resource.
Yeah, exactly. You know what you're going to find there. So you go back. How are you going to do that? Because that's not SEO.
No,
right?
no, it's database building.
That's right. And so how do you, so maybe think beyond SEO. It's like, okay, well, what does my website do to attract customers? Great SEO. What do we do to keep them?
Oh, that's a great way to say it. Yeah, because I mean that's the website becoming a resource, and this is something I try to explain to people for 10 years, and it's now starting to work. Where I'm kind of like, no, you don't want them going to Google, you want them coming to you because they know that you have the stuff, you have the style they like, you have the brand voice they like. It's familiar. It's really what we all want. It's why we binge watch 5 seasons of something, because you're like, oh, thank God I have watching material for like a year and I don't have to cruise Netflix for 10 hours to find absolutely nothing, because I know where to get it. I know where the good stuff is. So I think that combined with your whole concept of segmentation, which I really, it sounds so obvious. And the more you kind of get into business, the more you realize it's like, man, business is easy if you're just trying to make a single person happy. Like the problem is, and it's not just because people say like, well, Disney has a million different things. It's like, how Disney started? It started with a cartoon movie. It wasn't a theme park. It wasn't all the cruise lines, and it wasn't all that crap. It was just one thing. And same thing with Southwest. It wasn't Southwest flying all over the country. It was Southwest just doing Southwest, and that was their target market. And that's how they did a good job. And when combine that with the skill building that you're talking about, like, hey, what if you just got good at serving one type of business with your marketing? I do landscapers. Like anybody who has landscaping business, that's the only thing I do. I've built 100 of these, and I now know all the tricks because I've done it 100 times. So you want to go with me, or do you want to go with the company that serves 24 different industries, and who gives a crap? It's all okay.
So it's funny because right now I'm putting together another course. I told my buddy, I'm like, dude, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I am doing it. I'm doing one more course. I hope this is my last one. But it's funny as I look back again, one of the benefits of teaching every single week is you get immediate feedback, and you get to see what's happening with people. You get to identify problems in a way where if you're just trying to do it for yourself, you don't, right? And I have come to find a pattern amongst entrepreneurs that I feel like, oh man, if you can just nail this one thing, you can change your entire life, which is this. The entrepreneur is plagued by ideas. Okay. And the entrepreneur feels like it's their mission or their duty or the game they play to do something with those ideas. And that is the end of the formula. The beginning of the formula always starts with the market, right? The market doesn't care about the entrepreneur's stupid ideas, and they usually are stupid. In fact, go and Google top causes for business failure, and you'll see the top reason. It will say no market need. That's what you'll see. What does that mean? Here's what it means. It means that an entrepreneur got excited about an idea, created something, took it to market, and the market said, we don't need that. That means that half of the failure in business comes because an entrepreneur has an idea that he acts on. If instead the entrepreneur went to the market, said, I'm going to be obsessive about a narrow segment of the audience. And it's narrow because then I can clearly identify problems and needs. If it's broad, I can't see those things. It's broad is like walking in the fog. Okay.
Mm.
And then going narrow is like, I don't know, anti-fog. I don't have a good analogy for that one.
No fog, clear air.
There you go. But it's being able to clearly see what the audience is, the status quo of the audience. And the phrase status quo, if you think about that, it's not positive, right? When people say, oh, it's the status quo, that implies a lot of things. It implies I'm something I'm not happy with. It doesn't imply that you know what you're unhappy with. It just means that there's complexity that you can't define. That is your pot of gold, right? You start understanding the status quo of any narrow segment of people, and there's a business waiting for you. That's how you do it.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And it's, I've heard it explained a million different ways. And every time I'm like, okay, people get it now. Like you just got to serve
Isn't that right?
like one group, like they'll get it. And it never works. And I'll tell you why, because, the idea thing is totally true. Cause I'm guilty of that all over the place where I start like 100 things and, cause it's fun. One, it's fun. And then two, it's FOMO because you think, oh my gosh, I just got this awesome idea. If I don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. If I don't do it and this other thing I'm doing doesn't work, I'm going to regret that I didn't try. And so it's always this fear that you're like, oh, well, things are going pretty good with this thing over here, but what if this is so much better? And then you get like the lottery eyes where you're like, that could be the trick. That could be the thing instead of what you're saying, which is focus on the market, focus on providing a good solution. And then that's pretty much it. That's the steps.
So there's a term that everybody knows is product market fit, right? If you want to boil this thing down, just reverse that. Just say market product fit, right? That's what it should be, because product market fit is the incorrect order.
Yeah. You're doing the product first.
Yeah. It's got to be the market, then the product, right? So it should be market product fit. And every person that goes to any marketing or any school or any course or any program that should be the first principle that they learn. Okay. Because if that's the foundation of the house, you can build on top of it. The walls are going to stay good. Right. Yep. If you have an idea that maybe isn't right on, it'll course correct really quickly. If you have, again, that segmented audience, they will tell you with feedback, that's not exactly what we want. You're like, oh, okay, well, I was close. 2 degrees this way, we're good. But if you do it the opposite way, you're like, dude, I'm not 2 degrees away. I'm 180 degrees away. Or I'm not even there's no degree. I'm like in the wrong dimension or something.
No, and that's it. It's so easy to get into that mindset though, because I think it's fun. We all like starting stuff. We all like, oh, let's look up the domain names, and that's why we all have like 1,000 domain names. And it's kind of like, no, that should be, when you're really ready to go, you've thought about it. I'm a very slow thinker. Like I'll have an idea and I'll actually like ruminate on it for maybe a year, maybe 2 or 3 years before I'll do anything about it. Because unless it comes around so many times, I'm kind of like, I was excited about that. Let me sit on it for 30 days. And then a lot of times you just won't be excited about it anymore. And you're like, oh, thank God I didn't spend much time.
That's actually a really good exercise. Yeah, that's good advice.
And a lot of people, the other problem is that people have an idea, they go talk to their buddies, and their buddies are like, oh man, that'll kill it. I'm not the target market, but that'll do great. And you're like, no, you're probably better off if you are getting to that stage, like just make a landing page, make something in the ballpark and just see if anybody's interested. Because, if you really want to scale, if you really want to grow big and do all this stuff, then your profit margin better be healthy 10 times. Like look for 10x profit margin, and then this idea will work. But if you can't get to 2x, which a lot of companies can't,
I'd say even before that, because personally, I feel like even that is jumping the gun, right? And I feel the reason why it's jumping the gun is before you go out and you do that, tell me, can you articulate, again, if I go back to that status quo, can you articulate the status quo that you're trying to resolve? Like write it out. Tell me what it is, who it's for. And if you can really clearly, I heard Sam Ovens say one time, he's a pretty articulate guy, I think. He said, your job is to digest the complexities of your audience.
Ooh,
right?
that's a good way to say it.
And it's like, man, there's if we go beyond the market product fit, we recoined that term.
Nice. Love it.
It's
Good
taking
article.
the complicated to simplicity, right? And if you can't find the clarity in the confusion, like who's the person? Why are they struggling with this thing? Why do they have fixed beliefs that are this, but they actually should be this? If you don't know that, your product it really is a discipline to stay away from product and ideas. I mean, even man, we've all been, it's fun, but it's also a bit of a sickness. If we're honest,
it's an addiction.
it's, well, okay. Distraction, focus. What's better?
Focus.
Yeah. Focus, right? Focus is good. Everybody can agree. So what column do those activities fall under? They fall under distractions, right? And so it is a discipline, and it's discipline that I think some people are better at implementing than others. But the better you are at focusing on the thing and the direction and the prospect, the better off you're going to be. That phrase, going a mile wide and an inch deep, that serves nobody, right?
Wow.
So
wow.
You got to go a mile deep and an inch wide. That's where the money is. That's where the success is. That's where the fun is, by the way. If we go back to the word we were talking about the very beginning, scale, right? Everybody says, oh, I'm going to do my business and then scale it. It's like, no, you're not. You won't scale it, right? You don't even know what that word means. You don't even know what the word offer means. These have become now cliche phrases.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
and they've kind
I
of
just know that. Yeah.
Yeah. Just scale it. It's like, you can't scale a mile wide and an inch deep. That won't scale. Never.
No. Well, the thing is, the other, I think, missing piece that people don't understand is that you being able to sell something doesn't mean you're going to be able to serve it well at all levels. Because, like in advertising, you say like, oh, we want to, 10x, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, well, if we 10x your business right now, are you going to be okay? And most people will be like, oh, well, no, because their business operation couldn't even handle that in the first place. So even if you won, you did the magic marketing thing, you 10x your leads, now you're just going to fail even harder because the operational side is probably not there. The customer service side is probably not there. The product supply side is probably not there. And now you just totally screwed yourself. And it's nobody's fault but yours. Just being ignorant or maybe naive to the fact that, it doesn't work like that. You don't get biceps in 30 days,
Well, maybe you don't get biceps in 30 days.
Right? You're not using my system.
That's right. You got to use my system.
Yeah.
It's funny because there's seasons of your business, and I started doing the SMMA model back in 2015.
Oh, wow.
Right. And I would say probably before that, I was definitely not an entrepreneur, even though I called myself an entrepreneur. I was more of a wantrepreneur, mostly because I didn't really take time to invest in skills. I didn't really take time to be real with myself and have a big perspective and learn from any mistakes. I could always create a job for myself, but never a business. Right.
Totally different.
And I did. So in 2015, I started doing the agency model. And the same thing happened. I mean, I built a business, and we would basically max out at 25 to 30 customers, right? So it was a living. It was me and a partner and a team member, and it was a living, but it wasn't like a good living. And I was to the point where I'm like, this is no fun. This is not great. And we had, and in the midst of all that, we had Facebook publish a case study on my agency, right? Wow. Which is kind of a feather in our caps. It meant that we were doing business right, or I'm sorry, no, not business. It meant that we were doing advertising right, right? And it was so cool because you can't pay for that. They're not gonna allow people to pay for it. You have to be approached by them. Then they publish your case study, and it's great. It's very cool. But it was interesting because when that case study got published, I remember thinking, one, I should get clients flocking in. Like, this is enough proof.
Yeah.
That's right. Clients didn't care. They couldn't care less. Right. They didn't care. But all these marketing agencies were like, how did you get a case study? They all wanted to know. I'm like, I don't know. We just got one because we were doing good work.
Good.
And at the same time that I had that published case study, I also had an agency that operationally was a nightmare, right? Money up and down, not fun to be in this business, clients churning, all the things that the SMMA model kind of, has. But we got contacted by my now partner, Bradley, and he said, hey, I have a company called Upex. This is what we're doing, but we don't know lead generation like you guys do. You guys do offer consulting. And it was going through this iterative process where I said, listen, let me isolate a problem in my agency. Here's a problem. When I get a customer, I have to go into their ads manager, set it up. I have to take the same marketing campaigns, copy and paste, do that over and over and over again, right? At some point in time, that becomes too much for me to do between getting customers and doing this work. So somebody else has to do it. So I have to hire a media buyer. They're expensive. They misspell people's names. they whatever it is, they make me look stupid. And I'm like, could we automate that? Could we make it so we could take these things, these assets, and upload them into a library and they could click them and they just go? That way anybody could launch these ads. It's like, yeah, we can do that. I'm like, whoa, we can? And then I said, well, could we make it so not only was it easy so we could hire a VA and they could do it, what if it was so easy that our customers could do it? Meaning the end user. In my agency served doctors. What if a doctor could do it? And I'll get to a point here in a second. Sorry to take so much airtime.
No worries.
And I remember going through that iterative process, taking all of these complex steps, refining them down. And Bradley was really good at refining things down, right? And simplifying things. And I remember getting it to the point to where I looked at this thing. Now I'm the dummy, right? Everything is on the Sam radar. If Sam can do it, then we're good.
Go.
And so I went in and I launched a campaign. I'm like, dude, I think this is so easy. I think our clients could do this. And so we did a webinar, had 150 people on this webinar. And one of our clients, her name is Michelle Sims, great gal. I get her on there. I said, Michelle, do you think you could do this? I show her how to do it once. We get on the webinar. She does it.
Wow.
Click, click, click. She launched her own Facebook campaign, knew nothing about Facebook ads. And our business with that single demonstration and all of the work that obviously preceded that went from like 20 customers to 127 in like no time flat. 2 went from complex and a whole bunch of manual processes and everything else to automated and streamlined. And it was the craziest transformation that I could have imagined. And I mentioned that story simply because if our job is to make the complex streamlined and to simplify who we help and how we help them, doing it is why we get paid forever. Right?
Love it.
And you said something that spawned it, but now I've kind of gotten off track, so I don't know where I was going. Hopefully it was an entertaining story, everybody.
Well, because it really highlights that it didn't just happen overnight. So even in this transformation that your business went through, it wasn't like you could have done it prior to being really successful with Facebook ads. Like you had to go through the pain, you had to go through all the clients, you had to go through all the experience, and then you were able to come up with this thing, find a partner that actually made it happen, and now you could scale. And that's what scaling is. That is
scale.
There it is. Scale.
Okay. Scale requires simplicity, everybody. That was
It
the whole
does.
point of that story.
There you go. Experience, and there you go. But no, I love what you're doing, and I definitely want to have you back on to talk about the community aspect, because that's one thing I say a lot too, is that community is the future. Privatizing your following, not relying on outside platforms, being you and owning not only your audience but your content is the future. And I think you guys are doing an excellent job with that. And it sounds like you really have a beat on the community aspect and the shifting of, kind of trickster marketing into
Yeah.
modern marketing, which kind of looks like old marketing.
It's a lot
But
like old marketing.
it
Yep.
does. Well, if people want to take your course, I know you don't want to make them, but people seem to like them, so I keep going. Where can they find more about you?
Yeah. upex.com/classes. So you'll find Lead Gen U there. It's a free course. Everything is free at the classes website. So upexc.com/classes. You'll find our daily classes there, and you'll find Lead Gen U there as well.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Sam. Really appreciate your time. I think you're doing, you're the future. I think you have a really good philosophy towards training marketers too, because I think that's something that you can't teach, caring about your customer. But everybody's going to have to learn anyways.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Mark. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for listening. This has been Podcast Mark, where we talk about personal development, professional development, and business development in that order, trying to find the intersection of all three. And if you want more content like this, please tune back in.